Good afternoon. Welcome to 222, this day of opportunities, possibilities, miracles, and choices. I greet you this day with the greetings of respect always. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for joining, taking this time out at the time that you decide to watch this piece. Thank you for taking this time out to do that. I want to also thank Ken Murph out of New York and his radio station, Classic Soul, for promoting this show, this live broadcast. I want to thank Andre and Vinyl Stew, who promotes it, and all of you out there who constantly promote and encourage others to listen to the Mindful Moments piece. Thank you for sharing those pieces. It means a whole lot, and it's very valuable. It's touching some lives as we go along here. So the last time that we were together, we talked about how I would rather see a sample than a sermon, how that the eye is a better student than the ear. That was what we talked about then. Did you have any conversations about that? Did you talk to anybody? What are those conversations like for you when you engage people at that level of discussion? Does it go well? Do you have that? So I'm hoping that I'm giving you some nuggets that you can have some rich conversations by the water cooler or wherever you choose to have your discussions at. I hope that happens for that last one that we did. So this time, let's begin as we do with a moment of relaxing and breathing. And as you relax and breathe, I want you to consider trying something. Now, this piece you won't have an opportunity to do right now while we're doing this, but it's something that I read in a book called The Artist's Way about getting to that healthy place and relaxing as well. And it's called Morning Papers. Taking out a pen or pencil and a piece of paper and just writing your feelings, your thoughts, your ideas, exactly how you feel it, the way you feel it. If you want to write in proper English, it's fine. If you want to write in bad language, it's fine. If you want to curse, it's fine. However you write how you feel, get it out. There is something so powerful in writing that they say it's as powerful in many cases as talking to a therapist. So that's what I'd like you to try for your quiet time that you won't be able to do now. Just paper, and I always keep some kind of pad or paper with me, just something, and just write down what you feel, because you may not be able to get to somebody when you're feeling something or when you're going through something. Find a way to just write it out, and in the process, relax and breathe. And that brings us to our mindful moment discussion. This was written in the 1800s by a lady named Elizabeth Barrett Browning. She wrote this for her husband, who was also a poet. And it has been used through centuries in movies, with songs, in plays, some version of this. And something goes something like this. This is just parts of it. How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I love thee to the breadth, to the depth, to the height my soul can reach. I love thee with the breath, with the smiles, with the tears of all my life. And if God pleases, I shall but love thee better after death. She wrote that song, that sonnet many years ago. It's all about love. And that's what this mindful moment is about love. But you see, she said, I love with the smiles, the tears of all my life. And we all love with that, from that place. She says, to the depth and breadth and height that my soul can reach. But as the Bee Gees said in their song, how deep is your love? How deep is that deep love? So when I was traveling to my appointment earlier this morning, I was looking at the trees that was out there. And for me right now, nature is where the greatest lessons come from, the things in nature. And I was looking at the trees that were green and growing and things. And if you've been in my home or seen pictures of it, whether it's here, whether it's in Baltimore, Maryland when I was there, whether it's in Thompson, Georgia, there was always plants around. And I've learned something about things in nature. In order for things in nature to not just survive but thrive, they have to have three things in place. They have to have room, which is an environment for them to grow. They have to have nutrients, so they have to be fed what's necessary, and there has to be an opportunity to purge, to prune, to extricate the old so that there's room for new growth. RFP, those things have to be in place. Otherwise, you may find that the roots of a plant will be root bound, which means they can't really thrive like they need to. There are some whose love is root bound and not able to grow and expand as it needs to because certain areas have not been allowed to do that. How deep is your love? So you want to have that ideal loving relationship and you want to be loved. Are there some barriers, some scar tissue that's keeping it from flowing like it should? Let's look at a few areas. What about intellectually? Are you intellectually free? Are you intellectually open to grow so that you're intellectually a little bit stronger, a little bit better able to process and rationalize on certain beliefs that you may have had before that may interfere with having a healthy relationship so that you can intellectually give love to someone else? Recognize that that love may not be dependent on the person looking just like you or being just like you. Are you intellectually free enough to receive love from someone and inspire them intellectually? What about physically? Are you physically root bound? Or are you open to love someone else physically? First of all, do you love yourself intellectually? Do you love yourself physically and accept who you are? Because guaranteed, if you don't have a love and acceptance for who you are, it's going to be difficult for you to love with a depth and a breadth and a height of richness if you have difficulty accepting who you are. And I don't mean who you are after we've gone to the Walgreens store somewhere and got the hair coloring or put on our wig or some kind of makeup or some enhancement or some waist thing. Something I'm talking about, do you love you as you are? Not meaning that we can't work to improve, but do you accept and love yourself? Because if you have a problem with that, then it's going to be difficult to accept other people who may change as they get older, who may look a little different. Are you loving and able to be loved by that way? Or are you having scars that interferes with that because of things intellectually you've heard or physical barriers that you might have? What about emotionally? Are there emotional scars that's there from past experiences, past things you have been exposed to, past rejection issues, past separation issues, past relationship issues, and those scars have been so traumatic that they have made it difficult for love to flow to you or from you. So you may have been in that ideal relationship, but because of those emotional scars and not putting in the work to clear, to purge those things and get rid of them, to fuel a healthy emotional state, it might be difficult for you to experience the kind of love that you want to have. How open are you for those kinds of things, to have that love flowing? Or are you root bound, emotionally speaking, and having difficulty accepting others? What about morally? Are there some moral beliefs that you have that may have interfered with your ability to have love, to love someone, to be loved? Again, if we don't feel that love, if we don't have it for ourselves where you can accept yourself, it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to love someone else. You have to have room for your emotions to grow. They have to be fueled and fed. What are you feeding your mind? What are you hearing emotionally? What are the people around you saying? Are you able to purge and get rid of people that are toxic and prevent you from having the growth that you need to have the kind of relationship that you need to have? Are you going to places or doing things that don't support your growth intellectually, morally, even financially? Because, when you think about sharing love with someone, sometimes you want to do something financial, right? So financially, is your finances growing? Is there room for them to expand? Is there an environment for it to be fed? So do you have your finances in a situation where 6 months from now, they'll be a little bit stronger than they were today? Are you able to get rid of the people, places, and things and the behaviors and attitude that might be draining to your finances, to your wellness overall? What I'm suggesting is this. When we ask the question about how deep is your love, I love thee with the depth and the breadth and the height of all my soul can reach. Your soul can only reach as far as you allow it to reach. Are you able to love unconditionally? There are some who say, well, that's not possible for a human. Is it not possible if we choose to because of our own barriers that we might have? So we put stipulations and, I love you as long as you make this amount of money, or as long as you drive this kind of car, as long as you don't gain any more weight, or as long as you don't lose any more weight, or as long as you keep coloring your hair, as long as you wear makeup. I love you under these circumstances, but I don't love you unconditionally. And the love that I'm talking about covers all 4 of the Greek terms of love. The love between a romantic person, your spouse or someone like that, the love between a family member that you might have, the love between a friend, the love between people in general in humanity. I'm talking about those kinds of love, because if our love is waning, if there is a blockage and we don't have it, you start to see other things growing and developing. You listen on the news and you see examples constantly of people who just aren't able to demonstrate love for someone else because they don't feel good about who they are. And in 100% of the cases of those that I have worked with who have been perpetrators of violent crimes and otherwise, none of them had great feelings and healthy feelings about themselves intellectually, where they love themselves physically, where they were in a healthy place morally, or where they love themselves emotionally. So because they were depleted, they saw other people through their depleted, fragmented lenses. Where are we? That's where hate thrives, where love is absent. How deep is your love? To what extent are you able to? Because we love through our smiles, through our tears, and through our life's experiences. So what I encourage you to do is to look for an opportunity to examine yourself intellectually, to see if you're in a position to receive and give from an intellectual place, to demonstrate your love to someone important to you, whether it's a family member or whether it's a friend. Or is there a blockage that's interfering with that, scarred tissue that's interfering with that? Look for an opportunity to examine yourself in the mirror emotionally, to see, are you in a good place? Are you caring or dealing with the scars of past experiences and relationships that makes it difficult for the flow of love to come from you or to you? Are you bound, root bound emotionally? Is your love root bound? Think about where you are morally in terms of that. Look for an opportunity to examine yourself. Sit still with yourself. Find peace in your own space so that you can love you. Work at getting better, but love you. Same thing financially. Consider next the possibility of what might happen if you were able to receive love. Think of the people who maybe tried to love you in the past, but you just weren't ready. Weren't ready here. You weren't ready emotionally. You weren't ready morally. You just weren't in a position to receive that kind of love, or even to give from that pure place without conditions. I love you as long as. Consider the possibility of what your life might be like if you were able to live and love from a freer, a more free place. And lastly, expect and experience miracles that will unfold in your life as you become more conscious of your moments, as you start working through the process of removing scar tissue. And we all have some fragmented parts of ourselves that we bring to relationships, fragments because of past experiences that we bring. But if we work at trying to clear and to heal those things, we will start to get stronger and experience miraculous relationships evolving right in front of our very eyes. So expect those things to unfold. So last, I'd like to say thank you for listening. Share this thought. Share the consideration of love. Think about it the next time you watch something that happened on the news where love was not there. And if there was just more love, what could have happened? Think about sharing this message with someone who may be in your circle of influence, who's struggling, trying to find love or trying to love someone else. Help them clear their scar tissue. And here's the last piece. I have been asked a few times to include some of my own material, some of my content, some of my poetry. I don't know about the poetry because I've been all over the place with my poetry in my journey. Some of them trying to manage my scars from the past, because everything I'm suggesting to you, I deal with that. I work with the intellectual scars and emotional stuff, trying to find peace. It's personal for me as well. So what I want to do, I think starting next week, I'm going to include some of my content. And I'm going to share some things that sometimes I share them in public settings. Some of them are serious, so I may do something next week that may run for 2 or 3 weeks in a process of things. But either way, I'll figure out what it is. But I don't think you want to miss next week. It's going to be even more personal, I should say. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of this. And congratulations to those of you who have found the love that you're looking for, have found the passion. Congratulations to those of you who have found just what you were looking for, because you cleared the opening and you now love with a depth, with a breadth, and a height that your soul can reach. Travel well. Respect to you.